We need to talk.
Hello everyone, my name is Brennan and welcome to Brennan's Crafty Corner.
Hello everyone. My name is Brennan and welcome to my YouTube channel. Typically, we'd be making a card right now or doing some techniques, but today in this unedited video, instead of the only editing I'm doing is adding in my intro, we need to talk about counterfeit craft supplies. So, you may not know what counterfeit craft supplies are, and that's not your fault, but I have a good feeling that the majority of you do. So, these are craft supplies that are stolen, basically. What companies in China are doing is they are stealing the designs of small companies such as Temu, My Favorite Things, Technique Junkies, Stamp Anything. They take it from your favorite crafting company, they steal the design, which is intellectual property theft to begin with, and then they copy it. So what they either do is they buy the stamp and ship it to an American address and have it shipped over to China for them to copy to get the sizing better, or what they do is they just take a screenshot off the website and turn it into a stamp. As I'm hoping a lot of you are already seeing that this is an issue because it's theft. It's theft, point period blank, it's theft. But what it also is, it's taking money away from crafting companies. The money that's being spent on these fake stamps should be spent at these crafting companies. But what's happening is a lot of crafting companies are seeing these sales decrease, and that's a lot to do with counterfeit products. And these smaller companies, they can't handle that loss, and they are forced to close. What happens when these companies close, the counterfeiters are not going to have any more designs left, and the crafting community will simply die. So, that's, to begin with, why you should not be purchasing these counterfeit stamps. And these counterfeit websites are AliExpress, Temu, Alibaba, and even Amazon. Amazon does sell counterfeit stamps. And it's not all of them. Amazon does have some actual stamps, such as from companies like Waffle Flower, or Stamp and Storage sells a lot of their organization stuff on there. But I'm going to put on the screen in front of my face how you can tell. It's going to say sold by and shipped by. If that sold by doesn't say a crafting company, you should not be buying from them. It's that simple. And even then, you should click on that thing, on the name, to make sure it's an actual crafting company. It will take you to their page. It will be like Waffle Flower. And if it looks legit, then it most likely is legit. But sometimes people steal these craft companies' names, go on Amazon, and sell their products. But they're not the real companies. It's fake companies. And also, now, I know some of you may be saying, but Brennan, the craft supplies are so much cheaper on these counterfeit websites. There's a reason. When you get a stamp set, typically, it's photopolymer, it's really good quality. You can get an amazing impression just by stamping once. And then the dies are really good quality metal. They cut spectacularly. When you go onto these counterfeit websites, you're going to get acrylic stamps. And some companies do use acrylic, and that is totally fine, and they offer them at a cheaper price. If you want acrylic stamps or cheaper stamp sets, you should look into that. But also, sometimes the dies don't even cut because they're so bad quality. But there's another reason why their price is cheaper. Do you think these companies that are selling stuff at such a cheap price care about workers' rights? No. These poor workers are getting paid very, very little, are working in squalor and horrible conditions in sweatshops, and it is known that in these factories, people sometimes die. So just know, if you do choose to knowingly spend your money at Temu, AliExpress, Alibaba on these counterfeits, there is a very good chance that your money is linked to death. So if you do that willingly, now that you're hearing this, I hope you're just not a good person. I'm going to leave it at that. You're not. But now you may be thinking, these crafting companies still make their stuff in China. That's true. Gina K actually talked about this on her Facebook. But what's different about these companies is the crafting companies ensure that the factories in China that they're purchasing from are good companies. They're not going to be giving their money to companies that are actively having people die in their factories because of how bad the working conditions are. These companies are allied with different organizations that protect companies from intellectual property theft. Gina K has a whole post in her Facebook group if you want to read it. But what happens, so those factories that the crafting companies work with are just better companies in general. They have better working conditions, they have better pay, and they prevent from counterfeiting actually happening. And it's not these factories, for the most part, because there's always an exception, there's always a bad egg in the batch. So, but for the majority of the time, the companies that the factories that the craft companies use are good factories, are good companies. But also, you may be wondering why it's made in China. In the US, there are very few manufacturing plants for stamps and dies. So that's why there just isn't a capacity sometimes in the US, so it has to go overseas. But just if you can take one thing away from this video, it should be do not buy counterfeit products. Do not buy from Temu, AliExpress, Alibaba. Even if it's not a crafting related thing, you should still not be purchasing from these companies because as what I've talked about, the factories, people will be linked to death with the products you made. Or the products will be linked to people's deaths, excuse me. Do not buy from these counterfeit websites. It's that simple. Don't do it. And there are ways to get stamps for cheaper. There are so many destash websites or destash groups on Facebook. Sometimes even Savers, your local I'm blanking on the name. Thrift store, your local thrift store. There are even craft supply thrift stores where you can get supplies that are gently used for so much cheaper and sometimes even free on these destash groups. There are ways that if you don't have the money to purchase the actual craft supplies brand new, you can get it used instead of actively taking away and hurting crafting companies by buying stolen designs and fake products. Do not buy from these counterfeiting websites. Do you want to have a crafting community? If you do, don't buy from them. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for watching, and bye.